What's cracking, everybody? James Coe here with you, aka the Sleeper King, aka Jim Comer. We're about to do a little mad fantasy. We're talking about which fantasy quarterbacks I am currently buying and selling at ADP. I first want to start with Brock Purdy. Right now he's going as a top 12 fantasy quarterback, and to be honest with you, I think the price is fine, but if I see Brock Purdy, I'm going to pass every single time, and here's why. Brandon Ayuk is nowhere close to returning right now. Jawan Jennings either wants more money or he wants to get traded. Guess what? He ain't getting more money, and he's probably not getting traded either. But what that means is we got an unhappy wide receiver there. You love Ricky Pearsall. I love Ricky Pearsall. Everybody loves Ricky Pearsall. I get it. But this offseason hamstring injury has hampered him just a little bit. Not to the point where I'm totally scared off right now as we're recording in late July. But remember, he is a very young player with such limited experience. He needs to get as many reps as possible with Brock Purdy ASAP. It's a long way for me to say that there's a lot of big time question marks in regards to the wide receiver group that Brock Purdy has in San Francisco. Hey, and make no mistake, Brock Purdy did improve as a quarterback last year. For sure, 100%, there's no question. But there is one stat that really stuck out to me. Among quarterbacks with at least 200 pass attempts last year, he ranked 27th in a bad pass percentage. That according to RotoWire stats. And if you go back and watch the games, man, there were a lot of throws that he got away with. And he was obviously very much on the positive side of variance last year. I think that might catch up with him this year. He had 15 turnovers in 15 games last year. I think that number goes up. For the same price, I would very much rather have Justin Herbert. Nearly identical ADP. They give you a similar rushing floor and rushing ceiling. And I just think Herbert's got so much more upside with Ladd McConkey developing into a true full-on superstar and the wide receiver additions they made in the draft. Trey Harris and Keandre Lambert-Smith are going to add a much-needed vertical element to that Chargers passing attack, and man, I think Herbert is going to benefit. So Brock Purdy, sell, sell, sell. Justin Herbert, buy, buy, buy. Can we talk about Trevor Lawrence being outside the top 20 fantasy quarterbacks right now? The disrespect needs to stop. Hey, look, I get it. We called him a generational talent. Is he a generational talent? No. But now it feels like because he didn't live up to the billing, we're double counting that against him going into 2025. If you like Baker Mayfield as a top 10 fantasy quarterback, I mean, shoot, his ADP, he's the quarterback 7 right now. I need that same energy when we're talking about Trevor Lawrence. I mean, someone needs to explain to me how Trevor Lawrence is going 100 picks after Baker Mayfield. That is absolutely bonkers. It's absolutely nuts. First and foremost, Liam Cohen. Come on. Offensive mastermind. Hey, look, I love Baker. He's got that dog in him. But you're crazy if you don't think that Liam Cohen put him in an ideal situation to succeed. I keep hearing and seeing that Trevor Lawrence doesn't know how to read defenses. For one, I don't buy that at all. But for two, those were the exact same criticisms levied against Baker Mayfield 2 years ago. Coaching matters. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this again so you don't misunderstand. Coaching matters. As a rookie, Trevor Lawrence had Urban Meyer. I mean, Urban Meyer is probably at a Coldplay concert right now. Hey, and let's be honest here, Peterson got fired from Philadelphia despite winning a Super Bowl. Why? Because defenses have largely figured out what he's doing. Plus, from a pass catching perspective, the team added a potential superstar in Travis Hunter to go along with Brian Thomas Jr., who's an absolute stud. Something no one is talking about right now is the rushing floor and potential upside for Trevor Lawrence this year. Just FYI, Baker Mayfield set a career high last year in rush yards, rush attempts, and yards per carry. Trevor Lawrence, meanwhile, he set a career low in rush attempts per game and rush yards per game and tied a career low in yards per attempt. If Trevor Lawrence plays 17 games, I guarantee he is running for 300 plus rush yards this year. You know what? Screw it. Bold prediction. Trevor Lawrence is rushing for 350 plus. He's going to be a top 10 quarterback this year in rush yards And I'm going to say he finishes as a top 10 fantasy quarterback. You're getting huge value at quarterback 21. So yeah, Trevor Lawrence is like in sync in their prime. Bye. You will not find a bigger Jared Goff apologist than yours truly. Now that being said, from a fantasy football perspective, as a top 10 fantasy quarterback, man, that is hard for me to get behind. And look, I get it, man. He was the quarterback 6 last year. My dude had the 5th most touchdowns in the NFL last year with 38. From a volume perspective, and yes, we talk about volume for quarterbacks in terms of pass attempts. Jared Goff was 10th in total pass attempts last year. Now, I'm not saying it's a 1-to-1, but again, he was the quarterback 6 despite having the 10th most pass attempts. Why is that? Because he was hyper efficient with the pass attempts that he had. But follow me now. Why was he super efficient? Ben Johnson was his offensive coordinator. I mean, you figure no Ben Johnson this year and the efficiency goes down. If his yards per attempt efficiency goes down and his touchdowns also go down just a little bit, we're not talking about a top 10 fantasy quarterback right now because he gives you no rushing ability whatsoever. Now we're talking quarterback 15 or 16. Hey, and look, again, I love Jared Goff, but we all know about the home road splits. Plays much better at home than he does on the road. So now you've drafted a guy that you're not that comfortable playing on the road or in weather conditions. I just don't know if that's the guy that you want to spend a top 10 quarterback selection on. So again, super underappreciated real life quarterback, fantasy football, sell. Kyler Murray is another quarterback that I'm going to pass on every single time. From an ADP perspective, we're looking at a top 10 fantasy quarterback. But with injury risk, scheme fit, and one other stat that I'm looking at, I think that Kyler's got some serious downside risk. Yes, he played a full slate of games last year, but in 2023, he played 8 games. In 2022, he played 11. And in 2021, he played 14. Given his size and stature, again, I don't think I'm going out of pocket by saying Kyler Murray does have an elevated injury risk because we've already seen it on the football field on 3 of his last 4 seasons. And when we're talking about scheme fit, Drew Petzing is still the offensive coordinator. Nothing has changed. There's still going to be an emphasis on running the football. And his pass catching group, again, it hasn't changed in any meaningful way this offseason. But the one stat that I'm looking at, it's his rush attempts per game. I don't know if it's the injuries or just him developing more as a mature player, but his rush attempts per game have been in decline for 4 straight years. He went from 8.3 rush attempts per game in 2020 to just 4.6 rush attempts per game last year. If that slide continues here in 2025, again, the reason we're taking Kyler with a top 10 quarterback selection is why? Because of the rushing upside. But what if that upside actually doesn't exist? It's because of those factors. That's why I think he's got some serious downside risk. That's why I'm saying he's like Mankind versus Undertaker. He's a hell in a cell.